Yesterday evening, the slightly wily folks at Slightly Mad Studios surprised us with their slightly unexpected trailer for Project Cars 3. The video seemed to indicate a slight change of direction for the Project Cars series of racing sims, and as is always the case, the threat of change, no matter how slight, has sent the sim racing community into a slight meltdown. Well, some of it at least. Anyway, here's my take. Hello fellow sim racers. One of the unexpected upsides to having a young baby in the house is that, well, I just didn't really have time to look into Project Cars 3 properly yesterday evening when the trailer dropped. Now what that means is there's actually a bit more information available in the wider gaming press now. Thanks Aiden. First up, the fact that it's the gaming press and not the sim racing press that have access to their press release materials and the interviews with SMS staff is potentially a bit of a hint about where things stand with Project Cars 3. The messaging is pretty clear. Project Cars 3 is meant for the masses and not just the hardcore sim racers. And that's backed up in the trailer, which features street racing and car customization front and centre before inevitably throwing in a bit of GT action at the end for those of us in the no GT3 no buy camp. From the press snippets, this emphasis on accessibility is even more apparent. The headline-grabbing features include a new but much more in-depth career mode, car customization, both performance and visual, and a multiplayer rival system that focuses on experience and progression through the ranks, all in the aid of making the game more curated and accessible to new drivers. The driving model has also reportedly been improved, but from what I can tell, nothing has been dumbed down. From the outside looking in, this very much looks like a pivot towards the ground occupied by the likes of Forza and Gran Turismo, but more about that later. So, what do I make of all of it then? Well, first of all, this is incredibly good news. Another racing title is always something to look forward to, and rather than a rinse and repeat release, Project Cars 3, on paper at least, looks to be making a change to the formula. Stick with me on this one. The hardcore sim racing community never really fully got on board with the Project Cars series, and honestly, we are notoriously impossible, let's be honest, to please. So for me, it makes total sense that SMS would attempt to position Project Cars 3 as a more accessible title. It fits the commercial landscape better as well, since there are really already quite a lot of hardcore racing sims for what is a very small niche audience. Not to mention there's also the small matter of Automobilista 2, which should come out of early access at around the same time, using the same engine, so for me at least this shift of focus seems pretty sensible. But what's more important for me is the career mode, street racing and the customization features, which seem to position this right in the middle of the Gran Turismo and Forza sandpit. Now if there were ever a pair of titles that needed a decent competitor. With the game being cross-platform and the driving model being likely superior to Sony and Microsoft's flagship driving games, Project Cars 3 could be an incredibly important title. Competition is much needed in this sector, and I for one would be very, very happy if PC3 can make Polyphony and Turn 10 sweat just a little bit. And this is also great news for PC players who, let's face it, don't really have a lot of options when it comes to driving titles with a decent career mode, or, well, any career mode at all. That being said, there is one caveat to all of this. SMS do have a little bit of a reputation for overpromising and underdelivering. Project Cars 3 looks, well, incredible on paper and of course in the screenshots, but I for one will feel a lot more confident once we start to see members of the community getting their hands on the title. Before I wrap up, there are a couple of final thoughts. I've seen some fairly dramatic reactions to the news, some going as far as predicting that this will be the end of SMS and the shift away from true sim values will bankrupt them, whatever true sim values means. That all seems a bit dramatic to me. Honestly, I expect PC3 will shift a truckload of copies, and if it's positioned properly, I suspect it will be a much bigger success for SMS, Cody's, Bandai, Namco, or whatever you want to call them, and whoever else is involved, than just a rinse and repeat version of Project Cars 2 would have been. I personally don't feel like we're losing a sim, but we're gaining a bunch of features that were just unlikely to make it into any of the other sim titles, and I like that. Remember guys, it's okay to have fun. So that just about brings us to an end here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see more content like this in the future. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.